Welcome back, America. A funny thing happened this week. The government shut down. The stock market kept going up. Yep, stocks performing very well, which means all of our retirements are doing a little bit better. Joining us now to explain why that might be the case is the author of the incredible book, The Trump Economic Miracle, and the co-founder of Unleash Prosperity. He is one of my favorite economists in the world, Steve Moore. Steve, great to have you on the show, my friend.
Thank you, John.
All right. So I'd like to take three people and tell you who wins and loses. Americans, Chuck Schumer, Donald Trump. Who's going to win out of those and who's going to lose out of those three?
Well, I don't think there's any question that that Chuck Schumer is the big loser here. You know, it's the old parable about the guy who digs a ditch for his enemy to fall into, and he falls into the ditch himself. And that's exactly what's happened here with Chuck Schumer. They thought that they would win. And by the way, I understand why that Chuck Schumer might think that the Democrats would win here, because usually they do win these lockdown, shutdown battles. I've been through, you and I probably been through about 15 of these in our lives.
Yeah.
And it's always the Republicans that get blamed. But in this case, Chuck Schumer just overplayed his hand. Everybody realized that it was Schumer who wanted to shut down the government to win political points against the Republicans, and it's failed. And as you know, some of the Democrats in the House and Senate are sliding off. And so I anticipate that by the middle of next week, this will be over, because he's got a hand that is unsustainable that he's playing.
Yeah, I think that's right. I've been starting to talk to some moderate Democrats today, and I think some of those hearts and minds are changing quick in that rank and file, and they kind of feel victimized by
one
the
thing,
AOC
John, that
part
I
of the
mention, you know, that the other big loser here could be the American people. Now, the American people would lose the most if Republicans caved in, because if the Republicans cave in to Chuck Schumer's demands, we're talking about another $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion of debt. And you know, as I look at the American economy, I'm with you. I think, you know, the stock market's at record highs. We're producing more energy than ever before. Inflation is pretty tame. I'd like to see it a little bit lower, but it's come down. You know, if you look at the statistics on GDP, it's been growing at almost 4%. Huge. Those are good numbers. The one thing that scares me, and I think scares a lot of your viewers, is the massive amount of debt and overspending that's happening in Washington. And what really the basis for the Schumer shutdown is he wants to add another $1 trillion of debt spending. And that's not something I think most Americans are in favor of.
Yeah, no, that's the kerosene that burns the city down. It really is crazy to think that they're trying to throw more on into an economy where it was just starting to cool down. All right, I want to ask a little bit first about the economy. Then I want to go back and say how far did President Trump be able to go in shrinking? But let's start with the economy. That 3.8% GDP growth number was surprising to a lot of people. Seemed to put a contradiction to a lot of what Jerome Powell's been saying about the economy recently. What's up with that?
Yeah, the numbers were. I was surprised by the numbers as well. Now they're a little deceptive because some of it was driven by consumer spending, but a lot of it has been driven by business investment, and that's a good sign, because business investment obviously is the best future predictor of growth. You can't have an economy that's growing if businesses aren't investing in plant and equipment and research and more workers. So I think that's a positive thing. And it's, you know, I'm pretty bullish on the U.S. economy. There are some problems out there, no question about it. I do believe the tariffs have slowed growth, and they're causing some supply chain problems throughout the economy, and we have to work that out. And I think we'd probably grow at 4.5% if it weren't for the tariffs. But other than that, you've got to say that this is a pro-business president, pro-jobs president, and it's an agenda that most Americans feel pretty good about.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's one part of the economy that I think is the most stubbornly difficult right now, and that is young people being unable to buy their first house like all the other generations before them, the American dream. President Trump is working, I know, on several housing initiatives. We've got some amazing new companies like Boxable coming up, creating cheaper homes that can turn quicker. Do you expect sometime in the next few months that there are some dents into this problem and maybe a pathway to a more affordable home ownership of the future?
Well, by the way, this narrative of an affordability crisis, you know, that people just can't afford things now, I think is a little misleading. You know, we've looked at these, we have access to the data, we calculate this every month, and the first 6 months of the Trump presidency, median income above inflation is up by about $1,100. So people are,
Yeah.
that slide that we saw under Biden has actually reversed course. So people have more purchasing power, not less than they did 6 months ago. But you're right. There's three areas where prices are really high right now, and one is, as you just mentioned, housing. A second one is healthcare, and health, is still up another 8 or 9% this year. And the other is education costs. Gee, I wonder why education and healthcare are rising so much. Maybe it's because the government runs those. And so that is an affordability crisis. But, gas prices are lower now. I paid $2.89 the other day filling up my tank. So remember when they were $5 a gallon. So energy prices are down and other prices are pretty stable. Look, this housing crisis, in terms of affordability, is a tough one. I think it's because there's a lot of zoning restrictions in a lot of cities to build multifamily homes. I think there is a problem where a lot of Americans who are in their 70s and 80s, who've owned a house for, say, 30 years, would like to sell it. But if they sell it, they're going to pay, John, a huge capital gains tax. One of the things that I've proposed is let's have let's lower the capital gains tax to 15% and let people sell these properties, and that would free up a lot of property for younger people in their 20s and 30s and 40s who want to buy a house.
That's a really good point. People don't talk about that, but that is, I know a lot of boomers like, I would have sold, but I'm not paying that much taxes. I'm just going to hold on to it.
Exactly.
And that is a real dynamic. Really real dynamic.
It is, because I just turned 65, and I'm a boomer. I think you're probably a little younger than I am, but
not much.
The fact is that you as you get older, you would like to be able to sell and maybe downsize a little bit, and that I think has caused a lot of friction in the housing market. But we'll see. I mean, we need to build more housing. Incidentally, I'm on the board of a company, John, called Lightspeed, and we build houses with robots.
Yep.
So, the cost of building houses is going to come down.
That's going to be one of the great innovations. If we can get the regulatory system to catch up to and not be so difficult on zoning and other stuff, there could be a housing boom of epic proportions. All right, before I let you go, how far could Donald Trump shrink the government in a 10-day, 12-day shutdown, if it turns out to be that? Is he, he likes to go big rather than go home. What do you think he achieves in this small window of time?
Look, this is a real risky proposition for the Democrats because Russ Vought is asserting this power. By the way, I don't know if he's got the power or not. I hope he does, because I'd love to see some of these agencies. But he's saying, look, if we are just temporarily going to lay off these non-essential employees, let's permanently lay them off. Let's drain the swamp here. We're running a $2 trillion deficit. If a business was losing $200 million a year, it would look for ways to cut costs. And so I think there's something here. I think that Russ Vought would have the American people behind him. I mean, my God, if we've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of non-essential employees, why do we need them?
Yeah, that's a great point. Why do we need them if we could let them go this easily? It's a great point. Steve Moore, always a great conversation. Folks, I got a great idea for this. This is one you'll be wiser for. Go get his incredible book. It is remarkable. He's one of the great writers and economists and economic thinkers of our time. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a health condition that affects nearly half of all adults, high blood pressure. It's a big focus of the MAHA movement, and we're going to introduce you to an incredible group of inventors, a product they've got to make a little bit better for you. We'll do that right after these messages.